turns to twilight. If you feel like you wanna go all night, just lose yourself tonight. Feel the morning, the sun arrive.
Hey guys, so I think this week I want to try and do the shrinky dink pin that I've been talking about since last year. And this is the design that I made for my friend, and he said he wanted this in a pin. So what I'm gonna do is print it onto the shrinky film and then hand cut it, put it in the toaster, make sure it's nice and flat, and then use UV resin on top of that to coat it, and then stick a pin backing. I think I'm gonna go with the white one for this particular project. Sounds pretty easy enough. There we go. Take one of these sheets out. How much do they shrink? 20% in size. So I'm gonna print design on this. I'm gonna print a few. I think I'm gonna do it through print and cut in Cricut and then bake it. So that's what I'm gonna do.
We can fall into a super where memories of smoke. 'Cause daylight turns to twilight. If you feel like you wanna go all night, just lose yourself tonight. Feel the morning, the sun arrive. We don't have to fight it. We don't have to fight it. We don't have to, no. We don't have to, no. We don't have to fight it. We don't have to fight it. We don't have to, no. We don't have to, no.
It's soft. Yeah, it's still soft. So I think yeah, this one was a no-go, and I think it came out a lot darker than I would want it to. I think in the meantime I want to try another piece of these paper. I'm gonna just try like a little square piece, and I think I still want to just try the, I don't know, I think I still want to try this. So this has been on for a while, so it should be hot. Set at 350. You guys can't see anything. So it's set at 350. The instruction says 2 to 3. Here, we'll do 3. There you go.
Daylight turns to twilight. If you feel like you wanna go all night, just lose your.
Okay, so I can tell that my oven, when the light comes on, it means it's not hot enough. And then when the light turns off, it means that there is enough heat, residual heat in there at the temperature that I want. So now knowing that, and this is at about, we have about 10 seconds left on the timer. So I'm gonna turn that off. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take it out and then we can see what it looks like together. Let's use a parchment paper. Okay, and then we're gonna let it cool. So I think this test trial was a success. So now we're gonna go and check our newly printed one with the lighter colors. Hopefully, we're gonna let that dry for, let's say, 5 minutes. I'm gonna set a timer for 5 minutes. So here, go this way. Yeah, so it is printed, it's over here. Bring it over to the counter. It's a lot lighter. I'm gonna turn around and show you guys. So it's a lot lighter than the previous printout, which I'll show you on the other side. So this is the old one. This is a new one. I'm hoping that these will come out darker because this was this, which is much darker. So we shall see. So I'm gonna let it dry. All right, it's about 10 minutes.
I saw you walking in the street one day, it was a Sunday. You had flowers in your hand, you were dancing with your headphones on, didn't give in. Everyone was watching you, were moving to the beat, cause swerving in the street just to get a glimpse of you. You were posing for them, yeah, you were strutting for them, cause you know just what you do. So if I never touch you, baby, you should know I'm going crazy. I can't help myself anymore. Cause I've been looking for the one and I would think I found your love. Cause things have never been this good before. Cause you're dancing in the corner, you're dancing how you want it. I can't help but smile. And then I started to tap my feet in bed, we move it to the beat, yeah. Summer nights with you there. I never thought I would have felt that love I was dreaming of. But my hand is over heels and now you got me. And I just can't breathe with you here, babe. And you should know, you can tell me how you feel. Put your heart out if it's real. You can dance to 3 in the morning. Don't wanna pretend like I just wanna be friends. So if I'm being honest too. So if I never told you, baby, you should know I'm going crazy. I can't help myself anymore. Cause I've been looking for the one and I would think I found your love. Cause things have never been this good before. Cause you're dancing in the corner, you're dancing how you want it. I can't help but smile. And then I started to tap my feet in bed, we move it to the beat, yeah. Summer nights with you and I. Honestly, it's such a shame when my friends are getting in the way. I just don't know what to say, cause it's hard for me to walk away. And honestly, it's such a shame when my friends are getting in the way. I just don't know what to say, it's hard for me to walk away. So if I already told you, baby, you should know I'm going crazy. I can't help myself anymore. Cause I've been looking for the one and I would think I found your love. Cause things have never been this good before.
So yesterday I left off at the UV testing portion. The first one had kind of like an uneven surface and some bubbles. So then I went ahead and I tested it with the second one, which is that I applied more resin to it. Instead of like dabbing it a little bit in the middle and then trying to spread it out, I put more and then just spread it out along the edges. What I quickly realized is I need something kind of like in between the two, because with this one, you can tell that the resin had overflown into the edges. So ideally I want something in between those two. Yeah, so I think I want to keep doing the UV resin today. So my plan is, where are my backings? So I have these little backings, and I want to resin the front, and then what I want to do is E1000 the back of the pin, and then apply a small coat of resin over that, so it's shiny on the front and the back. And yeah, that'll conclude this project pretty much. Okay guys, all set up. I have my UV light over here. Once again, this is just picking up from where I left off with the demo resin yesterday. So I'm gonna put these here like this. These are my two final ones. And what I have is my backing, my E1000 glue, my UV resin, my little torch. Please do not do resin without gloves. It can actually burn through your skin if you're not careful. What else? So the reason why I'm using silicone, for those of you who don't know, is that resin sticks to everything. Once it's cured, you can't get it off most materials. The only material that it won't stick to are silicone or plastic that has a triangle that has number 5 in it. Those are the only things that I know of that it won't stick to after it's cured. So that's why I have the silicone. And I used to work with resin all the time, epoxy resin though, so I have these things, I had these things already. So yeah, let's get to it. So I'm gonna go ahead, put on my gloves. Great, gloves. All right, I'm gonna put this all to the side. So these are the two final pieces I am doing today. Try and get rid of as much things I can. So the goal is to do it like this. And then let's take our UV resin. I kind of just put it back in this tube. I'm not quite sure why, but the bottle already comes in black, so I don't think it would cure in the bottle, but just in case, I guess. All right, here we go. Oh, and I also have toothpicks as well to help me with the, there we go. To help me move the things to the end. So the thing is, you don't want to stir too much, because if you stir too much, then you will get what they call micro bubbles. And the micro bubbles, you can't get them out. They are almost impossible. The only way to get them out is like with a vacuum chamber or time. But if you're working with UV resin, the one thing you don't have is time. As opposed to like regular epoxy, you definitely have more of a work time with that product than you do with a UV. And I think it's just a contribution of different things, like the light from the sun outside, the light from your light fixture, like what kind of light bulbs you have, will all affect the cure time as well. So right now I'm just carefully, gently using the point of this toothpick to kind of get the resin to the edges. Now what you want to try and create is a tension around the edge so that it pulls just enough, but it doesn't go over the edge. Oh, man. Yeah, so kind of like when you fill up a glass of water all the way to the rim, how it sometimes looks like it's bubbling out, but the water doesn't spill over. Yeah, that's the goal here. So obviously this is not the most practical, like if you're just trying to make 1 or 2 pins for yourself or for your friend or for like a commission, this totally works. The problem is if you want to create one design and sell like 50, 100 pin, this is not the most efficient way to do this because it is very time consuming, and each of these steps, like there are gonna be times when like it feels like they're not perfect, and depending on your personality, if you're just one of those people that are just like, oh, I need things to always look like a perfectionist, this is going to be very difficult because sometimes you're going to see micro bubbles, you're going to see little faults in these pieces. One, partially because they are handmade, so I mean all handmade items are just going to have their little flaws, but you're going to see it more with these guys. If you're using, from my experience, if you're using UV resin with silicone molds, so most of the time when you use resin, it's with a mold. Sorry, not a mold, a mold. And you can like mold it into whatever shape you want. And pretty much what that does is that epoxy resin works great with that, but with the UV resin, what I read was that it will pull from the edges and therefore like create a divot when you're trying to do this doming process. If you have big resin bubbles, you can use a torch or even like one of just the regular lighters. It will remove the bubble. Another way is to use a straw and blow on it. Just be careful though, because if you get your saliva onto the resin piece, that liquid is really hard to take out. If you are working with resin, epoxy resin or UV resin, always wear gloves and a mask. The best type of mask is like the construction type of mask. And if you don't have that, I know it's very prevalent these days. We all have some sort of medical mask on hand, so you can also just use one of those. I think I'm in a happy place. Kind of looking at it from a side. I'm gonna torch it one more time just to make sure. Okay, great. And then hopefully I don't get. All right, I'm gonna take off one of my gloves again. And then this time I'm gonna put the UV light over. Gotta make sure that I'm not sitting on any resin. Not that that would damage the machine, but then it will just get dirty. And then I'm gonna do 60 seconds. So it is about 4 minutes for it to cure. And if I'm gonna sit here, yes, I still have my mask on because this is, the resin underneath this is actually giving off fumes. But make sure you always have a ventilation in the room that you're working in. I am working in my living room, so I have my windows open. Okay, so I think these are done. All right, so that is 1. Number 2 isn't as bad as the other one. I'm just gonna go ahead and get in between all the edges. All right, so right now I'm just wiping down with a baby wipe, which is what we usually recommend with resin. But yeah, it looks actually a lot better. I'm really happy with it. There's still 1 or 2 divots, but it's not too bad. Wipe it so it's nice and clean. Wipe the back so it's nice and clean. Okay. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna lay this face down. I'm actually gonna switch this trivet out and clean it up. There we go. Lay this face down. Use this E6000 and attach a backing. Attach it over there. Should have done it down here instead. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so I'm gonna just kind of move it around so there's glue all around it. So I have the glue there. I'm back. The E6000 looked like it's good. It's not wedging too much. So now I'm just gonna take off this cap. And what I wanna do is I wanna just put resin around this area. And then we'll be all done. Ta-da! Okay, there we go. Put on gloves and then my mask, other glove. All right, it's starting to look like I'll be able to finish this today. Okay, so here we go. Just more of this resin. Okay. Nothing too crazy. Okay. So the back isn't as important, so I'm not too worried about it. Just want to have a light thin coat to cover any of the imperfections from earlier. And really just to make sure that the backing is like glued on. That is the purpose of this back portion. Also, I am not working by the window. So, I mean, this stuff isn't gonna cure on me right away. But I can see how if you're working with this throughout the day, different moments of the day, it would be different for you. Like the cure time at least. Okay. That's that. I'll go ahead and pop this over this way. And then I think that would be that. Hopefully it cures okay. And then that would be the end of this project. All right, I'll bring you guys back once this is all done. Here it is, the final product. I'm very happy with them. There's very few flaws that you can even barely see. The backing is also domed. Yeah, it comes with a clasp. And that's it. Yeah, so if you guys like this type of content, please go ahead and poke the like and subscribe button. And if you have any questions about UV resin or any of the other projects that I have, feel free to just list it in the comment box below. I definitely do try and respond to most if not all people. Even if it's not right away, I do find time to try and answer all of them. And who knows, if a lot of you guys have the same questions, maybe I'll just make a video on it. All there's left to do is to package this up and then send it to my friend. All right, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Thanks for joining. See you guys next time. Bye.
To be all alone, watching cooking shows. You take yourself too seriously. I'm fine. I left my keys at my cousin's house. He says I need to leave you 'cause you're bringing me down. And you're all worked up 'cause I got home late. You hold this night against me till 3008. You take yourself too seriously. I don't wanna hear you say we waste our time. Cause you're the one who's going home to be all alone, watching cooking shows. You take yourself too seriously. I'm fine. You kill me when I'm wrong and you kill me when I'm right, but you know it wouldn't kill you if you Tried to be nice, stop making me choose between you and Fortnite. Now I'm telling you, you take yourself too seriously. I don't wanna hear you say we waste our time. Cause you're the one who's going home to be all alone, watching cooking shows. You take yourself too seriously. I'm fine.